So I just arrived in Brasov, Romania after 4 years of being away from Transylvania. So right now I am in Transylvania, this region of Romania that's famous for like werewolves, vampires and Dracula and other monsters, and most recently for a lot of brown bear sightings. Hopefully I'll get to see one of those things. And now I'm headed to my hostel. I just took a train from Bucharest, this train right here. It took like 2.5 hours to get here. It was like a super crowded train with a lot of people standing. I'm in the city of Brasov and I'm in the old town, and this is just as beautiful as I remember it from 4 years ago. This place is really like a maze, like Venice. Found my hostel. So the hostel was really nice, but the lady in charge took like forever, like an hour to check in. So I'm waiting for an Uber now so I can get to the bus station, hopefully get to the first spot in Transylvania. Hopefully, let's see. Thank you. Just literally had to run and stop a moving bus and get on a moving bus, but we made it. We've reached the beautiful village of Bran in Transylvania, and this place is really known for just one thing, and I'm gonna show it to you, but first I'm gonna get to this best viewpoint, which is like a bit of a secret, a bit hard to get to. I remember crossing this bridge last time too. So this behind me is the way up. Last time I did this on a rainy day. As you can see, there's no steps here, so I slid down all the way, I think for like a minute straight, like on my ass. Thankfully, it's not as muddy this time, so hopefully that can be avoided. On top of that, I'm wearing my hiking shoes, so I think I should be safe. It's definitely a bit cold. I'm glad I didn't put my sweater on. It's already sweating from this. It's getting dark really fast, but I'm at the viewpoint finally. So this place right in front of me is called Bran Castle, which I think is probably the coolest castle I've ever seen. Like with the surrounding Transylvania mountains and trees and everything, it's really cool. It's famous as Dracula's castle because it's somehow associated with the book Dracula by Bram Stoker, the Irish author, because the castle he describes where Count Dracula lives in the book looks a lot like this, like sitting on the edge of a cliff almost, and it's in Transylvania. But the inspiration, or somewhat the inspiration for that book, Vlad Dracula, or Vlad the Impaler, the king that I talked about in my first video from Romania, if you haven't seen it, he was like a very legendary king of Romania who defended against the Ottomans and was known for being like bloodthirsty and very cruel. A lot of people at first used to think that maybe he lived here, but no, it was like established later that like he never actually lived in this castle. But it does look really spooky, especially at night, but I'm not gonna stay here till night because bears. Trying to rush this up. But yeah, that's the castle. Really cool stuff. Now enjoy these insane shots. Man, even without any rain, that part was really hard to get down without falling. Can't believe I tried that in the rain last time. Okay, now I'm gonna try to go back to town. Okay, it's day 2 and it's 3:10 p.m. and I'm back in Brasov. I ended up extending my stay for a day in Brasov because I went out last night. I went to some really shitty clubs, but met some really friendly, cool people from Brasov, and I think I'll be going out with them tonight because there's like some house techno party. But behind me right now is probably the most famous building from all of Brasov. It's called the Black Church, and if you look at it, it has Gothic architecture, and it's probably like the biggest, I think it is the biggest Gothic church in all of Southeastern Europe. And if you're thinking about how a Gothic church got in Romania, let's talk about that in a second. Something really cool about Brasov, they have this like sign, like a Hollywood sign that basically just says Brasov. I'm at the council square of Old Town Brasov, and this is essentially the historical center of the old town. And a lot of the buildings you'll notice around me look very Germanic. That's because they are Germanic. Between the 12th century and the 14th century, and people even came in after that, the Hungarian kings that ruled this land, because Transylvania back then was under Hungary, they invited German Saxons to come here and live here and to like develop the place, develop the town. Found the old hostel where I stayed at last time when I was visiting 4 years ago. So behind me right now is Catherine's Gate, which is like, I think, an 8-minute walk from the center of Old Town. And this gate is attached to the old wall of Brasov. So like all all medieval cities in Europe, this city of Brasov had basically a big wall surrounding it to defend itself from outsiders, and had gates so people could pass through. And this is the last surviving gate from the medieval ages. This was built like almost 500 years ago. Something very interesting, it's just screaming. Something very interesting is that people, like Romanian people and Bulgarian people that lived in the area of Brasov were not even allowed to live inside the walled city back during medieval times. So they had to live in a different place outside. I haven't eaten anything today, so I'm gonna go get some food now and first get a coffee. There's all these streets next to the main square. Lots of pretty cafes. Found a place that's like a grill and burger place. I ordered some Italian food and a cappuccino. By the way, all of this is like pedestrian walking streets, no cars allowed inside the old town, which is great for exploring and not having to worry about like being run over by a car. Need some sugar. Food has arrived. I got some like bolognese pasta, which is basically like minced beef meat, tomatoes, carrots, onions, celery, and a lot of cheese. Yeah, it's smoking hot. It's hard to go wrong with Italian food. I was gonna get Romanian food, but this just looks so good on the street. I was like, I'm getting this. So now I'm gonna try to go to that hill with the sign that we saw earlier for Brasov using a cable car. So the cable car thing behind me is closed. The last one leaves at 5 p.m. and it is 5:09, so I missed it by 9 minutes. Remember that if you're coming here. I was thinking about walking up to the top, but it'll get dark in an hour, and the hike up is apparently an hour and a half, and then I'll have to get down again in the dark, and there's actually like a lot of bears in this area that don't really like human beings. So probably best not to do that. But I think I can still like get some sick shots with my drone right now. Okay, it's day 4 and I just arrived to another town of Sibiu from Brasov on this train that took like 3 hours, and it's really cold right now. It's like 12 degrees Celsius or like 10 degrees I think, and I'm gonna go to the hostel now. And it's day 4 because yesterday I actually tried to take 2 different buses to Sibiu and I missed both of them. The first one, I guess I was just waiting at the wrong platform. It went to the wrong place, and the second one just didn't show up. So I'm done with buses and decided to take a train. But because I missed that first bus, I got to discover this amazing food called mici. So I missed my bus, like I always do. But because of that, I'm trying to get to try this like Romanian special food called mici, which I've never tried before. So this should be pretty good from what everyone tells me. Dip it in some like mustard, and then you just eat it. Hot. Mmm. It's like a spicy mustard. Delicious. Each of them cost like 6 lei, which is like a bit more than $1, like $1.20. It's 2 mici, bread, Pepsi, all of that. Together was 20 lei, which is like $4.30 or something. So I was just walking from the train station in this small town in Transylvania and still managed to find some Bangladeshi people who live here who recognize me from my videos. So I guess Bangladeshis are everywhere. Okay, so I arrived to my hostel and it seems like there's an issue with my room. They overbooked the room and someone's in there and they're trying to sort it out. But I was like, I'm gonna go out and enjoy the limited daylight while it lasts and film some stuff and go back and figure this out. But this is, I think, part of the old town. You can see all the houses with like the little windows that it's famous for, like on the attic. It's some, I don't even know if it's a window, it's like some sort of ventilation thing. But this is basically known across Romania because these windows look like creepy little eyes that are looking at you like that, basically. So this old town looks a lot like Brasov's old town. Both were built by those Saxon German settlers that I talked about that the Hungarian king invited. But this one's definitely more hilly. I'm like going down lots of stairs, came up a lot of stairs to get to Old Town too. Also no shortage of cobblestone streets over here too. So it looks like this old town is way too close to an airport to safely fly a drone. So I'm just gonna have to show you what I see from my camera. So a bit off to the center of Old Town is the Lutheran Cathedral of St. Mary, which is like more than 500 years old. And you can appreciate how different these churches that were like built in these German settlers areas are from the Orthodox churches that you see in Bucharest and in lots of other parts of Romania. It's a really tall building, really pretty architecture too. Also along the old town are these small gates, which are like the ancient gates of the old town of Sibiu. And this gate behind me right here is from the 13th century, I believe. This is what I assume is the main square of Old Town. Lots of really cool looking cafes on every side, although the city's not exactly known for nightlife, even less so than Brasov, let's say. And there seems to be some kind of festival, like Astra Film Festival, that they're organizing right here that's happening for the next couple of days in Sibiu. And walking through the streets of Old Town will make you feel like you're walking in Germany somewhere, like Munich, because of the architecture all around you. So this is obviously not traditional food, but I got myself a burger from McDonald's because I was starving. Apparently, a friend of mine from Bucharest was telling me that, like, even when they were young as Romanians, like, the meeting point anywhere, especially in, like, I think not in the main cities, would always be, like, in front of a McDonald's because that's, like, the easiest thing to find. So by me right now is the Council Tower, which is probably the most iconic building of all of Sibiu. This thing has been here for more than 800 years, from what I understand. But obviously, this was not the original style of architecture. This has been like rebuilt over the years many times. It's like I gotta climb through this ancient staircase to go to the top. And this cost like too late to enter. Not at the top yet, more stairs. This is really cool because you can see the inner workings of the big clock for the clock tower. So I'm on the top floor. This is pretty nice. I have the whole area to myself. And there's these windows with gorgeous views of all of Old Town right around me over there. Historically, this was apparently used as an observation point, and I can see why. That's the cathedral that we saw earlier, St. Mary. And that's the main square where they're organizing the festival. Hey guys, so this is a short announcement that I realized when I'm editing the video and I'm not in Romania right now. This is in Thailand, 1 month in the future. So if you guys are watching this video and you want to go to Transylvania, I actually wrote a blog post on my article where I cover things to do in Transylvania, including the ones you see in this video and a few other things that are not covered in the video. So if you want to know more about how to travel to Transylvania and all that stuff, you can check that out. The link's going to be in the video description and it's free to read. Back to the video. So there are definitely a few hiccups along the way, but they finally emptied out my room. And I have my room at Pangaea Hostel, which is next to this bar called, I think, Gia Bar or something like that, which is supposed to be popular. Maybe I'll check it out later, but I'm also like getting a little sick from the weekend probably, so I don't know. I should take it easy probably. day 5 and it's 7:30 a.m. and it's -1 degree Celsius and it's freezing inside the train. And I had to leave before sunrise to get to the station on time to catch this train. But today I'm headed towards Sighisoara. Getting these trains in this part of Transylvania is very complicated. The connections are never ideal. So this seemed to be the only way I was going to make it. Okay guys, so I've been in this town called Medias for the last 4 hours because my first connecting train was cancelled and the next one is supposed to be now, but it's like delayed a bit. But I planned in advance for all of this. I should still be fine. I can go to Sighisoara and get back to where I need to go by the end of the night. Something about Romanian trains that I noticed yesterday is that like the platform number is not always mentioned on the screen as it wasn't in Brasov. So that's when you can't be shy. You just have to like ask people around you about your train and the platform number, which is peron or like linea if they're talking about lines, and someone's always going to help you. But you can't always like rely on screens to know exactly where to go or you'll miss your train. But this 4-hour stop hasn't been the worst. I went out to the old town, which is also like another Germanic old town with a big church, got some coffee and then came back, and I'm gonna get back on the train now. And these trains are actually nice. This one's probably nicer because it's coming from Vienna, going all the way to Bucharest, and it's warm in here. This morning I was like wearing a jacket the whole time in the first train. So it's 1 o'clock and I've finally arrived in Sighisoara, which is where I was trying to get to since yesterday evening literally. But I was able to get here, and thank God I was able to store my big luggage, which is, I mean, not much heavier than the small one, but much more of a burden to carry around town, so I can go out and film. I think I have like 2 hours and 37 minutes exactly till my train, so I'm gonna try to explore the city in 2 hours really quick. So the old town is across the small river, which looks more like a ditch. Maybe it's like bigger in the wet season, but you have to cross this to get to the historic buildings, and I can already see some very old buildings in front of me. Stairs to the old town have started, and from Google Maps I think the upper level, the top, is like 25 meters above the surrounding area. And that's the cool thing about the old town, you can see it from like all around because it's like walled. Fortified area is actually like high up on a hill, which makes it a bit more unique. I'm not a fan of going uphill. A lot of people think I am because I post a lot of hiking videos. I love the views, but I'm not like the going uphill cardio kind of guy. That part doesn't excite me. So right when you come up the stairs, you see the old clock tower. Probably the most famous building, not the most famous building, but the most famous landmark, like historically important building of this town. And it looks like it's currently under renovation, so I don't think you can go inside right now.
These yellow buildings that we have.
Alright, so behind me, that yellow house that you see there is actually like a very special place, because this is where allegedly, reportedly, Vlad Dracula, or Vlad the Impaler, was born. And this is the guy that Dracula was inspired by. So Bran Castle from Bran that we saw earlier was not actually his residence, but this was definitely his residence because he was born here. And you can come to Sighisoara and see that, and see a lot of tourists outside taking pictures of it, like me. And they're really like capitalized on this, and I think there's like a restaurant inside and like a bunch of like souvenirs. I think there's like multiple gift shops here, so you can come take a look. You can come look at the house where he was born, but I don't have time for that because there's like other stuff I want to see, so I'm gonna head out to the center. So the houses in Sighisoara's old town are particularly colorful, and again the architecture here is Germanic, because just like Brasov and Sibiu and a lot of the other towns in this area in Transylvania, these were built by German Saxons. So right next to Vlad Dracula's house is the central square of Sighisoara, which is actually kind of small by Sibiu or Brasov standards, by a lot, because this is a smaller town. Only like 20,000 people live here now. Sibiu is 150,000, I think Brasov is 250,000. So this wasn't the biggest town back in the days, but it's still like a cute little area with a lot of pretty houses around that seem to be very well preserved. walking around this old town, it definitely feels very different from the other two old towns that I went to. A lot less people, a lot narrower streets. Pretty cool actually. So it's just bread and cheese and sour cream?
Yeah.
Is it Hungarian? Langos?
No. Oh yes. You want ham?
No ham.
No. Okay. Here. Anything, guys?
Maybe a Coca-Cola or Pepsi? Do you have it?
Pepsi Zero. It's okay.
Pepsi Zero is okay. And
Here.
So I got some langos, which is actually like a Hungarian food that I haven't had in like 4 years since last time I was in Hungary. It's basically like this deep-fried flatbread, and you can put whatever you want on it. I got sour cream and cheese, and the guy was like so sweet. Oh, and I got like a Pepsi, and so a lot of cheese. I don't know if you can tell. All of that cost like 16 lei, which is I think like $3.50 or less than that. Pretty good price. Let's try it. I'm excited. Haven't had this in a long time. By the way, there's like Hungarian food in Romania, especially this part of Romania, because Transylvania for hundreds of years was actually under the Kingdom of Hungary, and there's still like a prominent Hungarian-speaking minority. So Hungarian culture, Hungarian food will be noticeable in a lot of places. I'm gonna like fold this so I can take a proper bite. This is so heavy. Tastes like this thing called puri back home that we eat in Bangladesh. I would have like eaten it at one of the restaurants that seem to have good food, but my train's in an hour. You never know how long they take to serve food, so I just got something I can eat on the go. So you see that big Orthodox church in front of me? I think for the first time in this video we're seeing a church that is not like built by the Saxons. So this looks very different from any church we've seen in Transylvania. And this looks a lot like, you know, a church you see in Belgrade, Serbia, Montenegro. So that langos was delicious, but it's time to head back to the train station and catch my train for another 4 hours to get back to Brasov. I think by the end of today I'll have spent like maybe like 10 hours or more in train stations and trains. So I'm very stinky, ready to go home or go to the hostel and take a shower. So just met some Indian guys on the way back from Punjab and Gujarat, and we're just chatting about stuff in life in Hindi. They're like super friendly. One thing that's you'll notice is that like a lot of the people working in construction and stuff are not from Romania, because as I said in my first video in Romania, Romania does have a problem with a sinking population, with not just falling birth rates, but just people going abroad. So they have to often take in people from other countries with a lower income usually, who come here and like happily work, get more money than they would make in their home countries. So just had this really interesting encounter with this really old lady. So I met her at the station, basically at the cafe while I was waiting for my train, and she came, sat down next to me while she was while I was getting a coffee. And then I asked her if she wants a coffee, because she was talking to me in Romanian. I didn't understand anything that she was saying. She seemed very thankful, and then she was like chatting up the people in the next table. I think they gave her a beer. I don't know if it was the full beer, but I saw her like taking a sip. And then I realized she's going the same way as me towards Brasov, basically, and she's carrying this heavy bag. Pretty heavy bag, and this woman must be like 75. She's like pretty old. I don't know how she would have brought it. That bag was so heavy, and she had like something in her hand, and she was saying she had some issues with her hips or something. And we ended up sitting in this wagon, in this cabin, or whatever you call it. And then it's funny, I ended up video calling my mom, and then she was just like talking to my mom, and I don't understand Romanian, but I understand a little Spanish. I think she was saying that she has 5 kids. At one point she took the phone from my hand and like kissed my screen of my mom. That was like really fun. But yeah, eventually she got off. I guess I helped her out as much as I could. But the fact that, you know, that she's having to do this, like carry this pretty heavy bag, and she said she had medical issues and stuff, and take care of herself without anyone in her family taking care of her. I mean, she never asked for money or anything. Like everything I helped her, I did her without her asking for it. But she's probably not in a good position, which kind of goes to show that even though Romania is doing really well now compared to like Ceausescu's times, there's still like people in rural areas who are still at like a disadvantaged position. So there's still like work to do to ensure that like the wealth that's coming in is like at least equally passed on to the citizens of the country. But I'm sure they'll get to that. Okay, so last night I got to Brasov really late because the train was unsurprisingly really late again. And this guy's waving to me. But yeah, I didn't film anything yesterday, and this morning finally took another train to Bucharest. I'm here and it's a lot warmer. I can walk in a t-shirt, which is nice. But I'm gonna end the video from here. So if you like my Transylvania adventures, feel free to like the video. If you want to watch more videos from Romania or anywhere else, feel free to subscribe. And if you want real-time travel updates, feel free to follow me on Instagram at @NadirOnlyGo. I'll catch you guys in the next video from Bucharest because I'm about to go film it right now.